I welcome back to the next video snippet from the video book, The President and the Cockroach. This book is important, especially with the news being what it is these days. Go figure. If you want a more easily read version of this, you should buy the book. And I'll put a link in the comments underneath this video so to make your life easier. Buy the book, buy the book, buy the book. And after you buy the book and have read the book, write a review. We authors appreciate such things. Okay, if you're ready, we're back to the second part of chapter 4 in The President and the Cockroach. Here we go. Regardless of the place he chose for his retirement, the ex-pres would need a couple of new passports and more than a few bank accounts unassailable by the U.S. government. The government would be sure to cancel his passport and confiscate the American bank accounts it knew about. He'd anticipated that decades ago, moving almost all of his money offshore. FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, signed into law by that Kenyan, had put the screws to anyone interested in keeping some money out of sight of the IRS and its minions. Unfortunately, the soon-to-be ex-executive of executives had not been able to convince these whorish grifters in the House to put FATCA repeal first on its calendar. Since those dunces in Congress had screwed that pooch, if he wanted to escape FATCA snooping, that would mean banking in Russia or China or even Switzerland. That kept zillions of Nazi dollars on the down low for decades, for Christ's sake. And he had finally knelt to the international arm twisting of Americans, well, some of the Americans, as had the Caymans. This meant that he would have to buy citizenship, or 2 or 3, somewhere, which currently ran about $300K in St. Kitts and Nevis, and a little less in Croatia, and convert a lot of money into something easily spendable. Art, emeralds, gold, platinum, diamonds. Art. Classy, but too big to carry and just asking to be stolen. And if it was stolen, how could he involve the local and international police to get his goods back without giving himself away? Emeralds. The big ones are worth more than the little ones, but he would need an expert to determine the color and quality for each one. And if you got too many people involved, too many people would know his secrets. No, it would be too big a pain in the ass. Gold? Less than $50 a gram and heavy as, well, gold. He can move some to his new home, wherever that might be, and stash some in Swiss and Cayman vaults, but that would just have to be walking around, or running away, money. Cocaine, only $60 a gram. High quality heroin, $125 a gram, but both invite the DEA and Interpol. Platinum, $500 a gram and well worth stashing in certain vaults associated with second or third passports. Rhodium, $7.50 a gram. Now he was getting into the ballpark, but this stuff was still best stashed under guard somewhere. Plutonium, $4,000 a gram. But again, the U.S. government and those United Nations pricks, fucking eunuchs, would be all over that. And there was that pesky radiation which would require some extra special construction for its keeping. No. LSD. One hit, 250 micrograms of LSD retails for anywhere from $10 to $15. That is between 40 and 60K per gram. The acid would be easy and inconspicuous to carry. Hey, he thought, that could be a hell of a deal, and I'm an artist when it comes to making deals. While shipping a few hundred sheets of paper soaked in acid would be an easy way to move a great quantity of good as cash, setting up a few labs in inconspicuous places could be a real moneymaker. The heyday of LSD had been during the 60s when Owsley made a little over 10 million doses of his white lightning using borrowed chemistry equipment in his little lab in Richmond, California. The hippies who had tried it say that 99% pure Owsley acid was even better than the Sandoz pharmaceutical-grade LSD that was made in Switzerland. 30 years later, the DEA reported that the quality of contemporary pasha of psychedelics had dropped to about 70% pure. Around the beginning of the new century, the drug that was being sold as LSD was actually nothing of the kind. Synthetic mescaline and MDMA, what the kids called ecstasy or Molly, was being cooked up in dirty labs in what amounted to rusty oil drums. Nobody wanted to sell LSD anymore because the penalties for dealing sunshine and the odds of consumers taking a bad trip due to the poor quality control and the just plain greed of the chemists who mixed the stuff were equally great. No dealer who wanted to stay a dealer was interested in that kind of deal. And then the internet arrived. Sometime around 2006 or 2007, two unrelated groups of equally dedicated acid heads appeared, answering the prayers of trippers everywhere. Wherever lysergic acid was advertised for sale, the Avengers or L-Team would appear. Some suggested almost magically buy samples, test the samples, and post their reviews on the first darknet market, the Silk Road. People read the reviews, bought the good stuff, and happily tripped their brains out. As time went by, unrestricted free trade and market capitalism did what they were supposed to do. The labs that created better and purer acid flourished, and the product distributors with the brown acid were shunned and went out of business. The Silk Road was closed down by the feds in 2013. Like that, it wasn't going to happen. But a similar clearinghouse, Diabolus Market, appeared a year later and then changed its name to Silk Road 3 the year after that. Most recently, Silk Road Reloaded started up on 12p, Invisible Internet Project, using cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. The market was there for those who knew how to make a deal.